Okay, welcome back, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you had a great long Valentine's Day weekend and you're ready to hit the ground running here and work hard. All right, so here we are, February 16th. Why don't you go ahead and pause this, copy everything down, then go try these problems, then come back and check your answers. If you'd like, I can give you the formula on how to get the area of a parallelogram real quick. Okay, so if you want to get the area of a rectangle, right, it's just, they say the length times the width. How long is it times how wide is it? And basically it's the two sides. Okay, and they make the L's kind of fancy so it doesn't look like a 1. Okay, now for some reason when they make a parallelogram, they no longer call it the length and the width. Instead, you have the two sides, but what you want to do is just multiply how long is it on the bottom, or how wide is it, that's the base, and then you multiply that times the height. Okay, for a triangle, it's half of the parallelogram. Okay, and you can see that because if I made another triangle, I cloned it, you can see those are the same. Okay, and you know how to get the area of a parallelogram. It's how tall is it, right? That's called the height. And how wide is it at the bottom? That's called the base. But you realize that this triangle is not the same as this rectangle, parallelogram. The parallelogram is two of these things. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 of the base times the height. Okay, every parallelogram is the base times the height. Okay, so that's how you're going to get the area of these shapes. Okay, go give it a shot, see how you do. Okay, and again, you might pause it here and copy these three down, not just on your paper, but in your composition book as well. Okay, that's something that should be in your composition book. Okay, all right, we will see you in a few minutes. And a few minutes is up. Let's go over these answers. First off, the diamonds, you remember how these work. The product goes on top, the sum on the bottom. Two numbers, when I multiply, I get 42. When I add, I get 13. Hopefully you remember that's 7 times 6. If not, welcome to my warm-up. Right? Glad to have you. More people doing this. This is good for you. Now, I know you're thinking right now, 6 times 8 is 48, but 6 plus 8 is not 19. It's only 14. And then you think, well, 4 times 12 is also 48, right? 4 dozen donuts is 48 donuts. But 4 plus 12 is only 16. What's going to work here? Well, if I double the 8, I get 16. And if I take half of the 6, I get 3. That's also going to be 48 when I multiply. But check this out. 16 plus 3 is 19. Okay? How about this one? Hopefully you figured out that's 2 tenths and 2 hundredths. Remember when I multiply decimals, pretend there's no decimal there. I go 2 times 2 is 4. But then I had to move this over one spot to pretend it was a 2. I moved this decimal over 2 spots to pretend it was 2. So that's a total of 3 spots in my problem. I moved the decimal. I had to go back 3 spots in my answer to put the decimal. And what do we say here? Well, what holiday's coming next? St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it'll be Easter. Fill in the egg carton. All right. Now, how about this one? When I go add decimals, the key on adding or subtracting or comparing is to line up the decimal after I stack them. And that forces me to put this 2 over here because it's going out 2 spots. Now, I can put a 0 here to help me before I add, so it looks less confusing. But you can see I'm going to get 22 hundredths when I add those two. Okay. Did I stump you on this fraction one? 4 4/5. 4 4/5. This is going to be 4 times 1 1/5, right? 4 ones is 4. 4 times 1/5 is 4/5. So when I multiply those, I'm going to get 4 1/5, 4 4/5. When I add 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 plus 1 1/5 is 5 1/5. Okay. All right. Area and perimeter. Remember, the perimeter is just the distance all the way around the outside. So 11.1 plus 2.2 plus 11.1 plus 2.2 all the way around, okay? Or I can add the 11.1 and the 2.2 and then double it, right? 13.3 doubled. The perimeter ends up being 26.6 meters. Okay, and how do we get the area? Remember, the rectangle is just how wide is it times how tall is it? The two sides on a rectangle, not the two sides on a parallelogram, right? The one's going straight up and down. So I got to go 2.2 times 11.1. Come over here where I got some room. Remember, I'm pretending there's no decimal. 2 times 111 is 222. Put a placeholder. 2 times 11 is 222. Add. Now, where am I going to put my decimal? Well, really, this was 11.1. So I moved over once there. I got to go back 2 spots. 24.42. And now we're talking meter times meter, square meters. Area is always square units. That's doing that one. Okay, perimeter, 10 plus 6 plus 8. 16 and 8 is 24 inches. Easy enough. I'm just adding that all the way around. Area, now remember the area. This is not 6 times 8. That would get me this rectangle, right? Which is 2 of these triangles, right? I need half of the rectangle. So I can go 1/2 times the base times the height. I can go 1/2 of 48 is 24. I can go half of 3 times 8. Half of 6 is 3 times 8 is 24. I go half of 8, 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, it doesn't matter the order. Either way, I'm getting 24 square inches. Right? Cool, huh? Same, 24 inches, 24 square inches. How weird is that? All right, the perimeter of this is going to be 7 plus 13. What's here? It's a parallelogram, so the opposite sides will be the same. This is another 7. What's this here? Opposite sides are the same. This will be another 13. 7 and 13 makes a nice even 20, and 20 doubled is 40. So the perimeter of this is 40 centimeters. What's the area? I don't care about that 7 for the area. Remember, the area of a parallelogram equals the base times the height. Okay? Area of a triangle, 1/2 the base times the height. Okay? So what do I want to do here? And why does this work? Because, well, check this out. If I make this, move this 5 over here and drew it straight down, right? That's still 5, right? And if I slid this over here, this angle is the same as this angle. So when I put that over here, this triangle fits in there perfectly. And now I've made a rectangle that's 13 wide and 5 tall. Okay, and 13 times 5, 65 square centimeters. Okay, just you're looking for the 2 lines that make the right angle. Okay, that'll help you with all of these kinds of triangles, parallelograms, and rectangles. On a rectangle, the 2 lines that make the right angle are the 2 sides. Okay, all right. And the triangle, don't forget to take it half. So the perimeter of this triangle is 3 plus 5 is 8 plus 6 is 14 plus 1/2. 14 and 1/2 feet. I don't care about that 2 for perimeter because I'm building the fence around the outside. That 2 is in the middle. Now for the area, there are 2 numbers I don't care about. Do you know which ones they are? Kind of question I'd ask you in the chat. Right? I don't care about that 3 and 5. Are either of those lines that make the right angle? No. I care about the 2 times the 6.5, but that would get me twice as big as I wanted, right? Remember, that's the same as this parallelogram, which is 2 of these triangles. I want half of that parallelogram. So 1/2 of 6 times, or 6.5 times 2, or 1/2 times 2 is 1 times 6.5. So that's going to be 6.5 square feet. Okay, now I could have done 2 times 6.5, got 13, and then taken half of that, which would be 6.5. All right, so that just made it easy. All right, 2 1/4 plus 80% plus 1.95. I'm lucky. I know that this is the same as 0.25. So this is 2.25. I know 80% is the same as 0.8. I'm going to go ahead and put 80, right? So I come out to the same spot, the hundreds place. And then I got 1.95. So if this was money, I got 95 cents plus 80 cents plus 25 cents. I'm going to put the 25 and the 95 together first and get 120. 1.2 plus 8 is 200 plus 2. This ends up being, 5.00 or 5. Okay. Now, really, we should line those up over here, right? 2.25, 1.95, and 0.8, and 0.80 if you want, right? 10, carry the 1. Okay. 3, 12, 20, carry the 2. The decimal comes straight down. 2, 4, 5. Okay. All right. Evaluate for the value given. That means I'm going to put a 5 in. That doesn't make this 35. This makes this 3 times 5 plus 5 to the second power minus 6. Now 3 times 5 is 15. 5 to the second power is not 10. It's 25. And then minus 6. So I have 15 and 25 is 40. 40 minus 6. Shaquille O'Neal, 34. All right. Hopefully you got that. Now, long division. It's been brought to my attention that some of you did not practice this enough in homework assignments last year to really make it solid in your brain. So I want to make it solid in your brain, so we're going to practice a little bit. So when you do long division, what you're doing is you're trying to find out if this number fits into the first number. Okay. In this case, it does. So I'm going to say 5 goes into 9 one time. I put a 1 above the 9. Now the next step is I'm always going to, after I put a number here, I'm going to multiply it by the number outside the box. So I'm going 1 times 5. It's 5. Now I subtract. I got 4. The next thing I do is I bring down the next number. And now I'm saying how many times does 5 fit into 40? Now I'm always going to be looking here. Okay. Now 5 goes into 41 8 times. I even said 40, huh? That's a slip, right? Because 8 times 5 is 40. I'm already thinking ahead. So I go 8 times 5 is 40. And then I subtract again. And then I bring down the next number. Now I'm seeing how many times does 5 fit into 18? About 3, right? 3 times 5, 15. And then I bring down the next number. How many times does 5 fit into 32? I'm saying 6 on that one because 6 times 5 is 30. What do I do now? Bring down the next number. Okay. Now, how many times does 5 fit into 27? Well, 5 times 5 is 25. I subtract. What do? Bring down the next number, right? How many times does 5 fit into 23? 4 times. I'm going to move this 23 up here because that's the last one. 4 times 5 is 20. All right. Now, I can take that 3 and put it up here and have it be a remainder, but I can also add a decimal, add a 0, and bring it down. So now I have 30, and that's going to go in 6 times. Sorry, I ran out of room on this one. I should have given myself more room. But that is your answer, right? Now let's do one a little easier that'll fit. 3, does it fit into 7? Yes. How many times? 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. I will subtract. What do I do now? Hopefully you remember, bring down the next number. Now does 3 fit into 11? Yes. How many times? 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. What do I do now? Bring down the next number. Does 3 fit into 24? Yes. How many times? 8. I go 8 times 3. That is 24, huh? Now I subtract. What do I do now? Write down the next number. Does 3 fit into 5? Only once, though, right? 1 times 3. And then what do I do now? Bring down the next number. 3 fit into 21. How many times? Hopefully you said 7, and that's a perfect fit, right? Ran out of room on that one too, huh? All right, 23,817. We need to practice these. All right, let's go ahead and move this one over a little bit and up a little bit. So I'm going to move this right up here. 4 into 75,232. What's the first step? Does 4 fit into 7? Yes. 1 time. 1 times 4. What do I do now? Subtract. How about now? Bring down the next number. Okay. 4 goes into 35. Hopefully you said 8. And if you have trouble with these, if you don't know your facts, okay, first off, you should spend all your con minutes practicing your facts, but also just have one of these things handy while you're doing this, all right? Have one of these handy and just look at it and say, okay, well, 4 into 35. I'm instead of 4 until I get close to 35. 36, that's too much. So 32, 8. Put an 8 there, 8 times 4, 32. Okay, just have that handy if you don't know your facts. But you can see how valuable it is to know your facts if you don't, right? So what do I do now? I'm subtracting. Okay, and what do? Bring down the next number. Oh, there's a 32 again. So I'm going to go 8 because I know that's a perfect fit. Subtract. What do I do now? Bring down the next number. Now, here's the thing. 4 will not fit into 3, will it? What do? I put a 0 above the 3. And I go ahead and do the same thing. Now I'm going 0 times 4 is 0. And I'm subtracting. 3 minus 0 is 3. Now what? After I subtract, you always bring down that next number. And 4 goes into 32 how many times? There's that 8 again, right? And you're done. Okay. Now, if I wanted to double check this, I could take my answer and multiply it by the divisor number outside. And what should I get for my answer when I multiply this? I should get 75,232. Okay, so go ahead and do that sometimes. Practicing your facts, practicing, right? All that stuff's good for you. And again, this next one, I'm going to move it over, give myself a little bit more room again. 2, 8, 9, 3, 4, 0. Didn't give myself too much room, huh? Got problems with this one. Long division, that's long, right? Now, will 5 fit into 2? No. Now, I can put a 0 there, or I could just switch over when I'm starting and say this 5 going to 28, and it does. But if you do that, okay, I definitely recommend put an X or a 0 above the 2 before you start. If 5 will not fit into that, then put a 0 up there. And that way you're not going to say 5 goes into 28 5 times. You won't put a 5 above that too, because that would be a mistake. Okay, let's put the 5 above the 8 because we're saying 5 into 28. Now I go 5 times 5. Subtract. What do? Bring down the next number. 5 into 39. Well, 5 times 7 is 35. That's as close as I can get without going over. I can't go over. Subtracting it to 4, what do I do now? Okay. How many times does 5 fit into 43? 8, because 8 times 5 is 40. I subtract. What do I do now? Bring down the next number. Now, can I go 7 again? No, because 35 is bigger than that. I need to get as close as I can without going over. I'm going 6. 6 times 5 is 30. What do I do now? Bring down that next number, and 5 goes into 10 twice. And I'm done. So let's rewrite that. 57,862. Okay, and again, you can go double check it if you want by doing this. Okay, all right, we need practice on this. If you need practice on this, that should be some of your con minutes, right? Practice that, it will pay off. All right,